In this LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga video, we are going to be exploring the secrets of Naboo. There are so many locations to explore on this planet, so make sure you watch until the end of the video and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode in this exploration series. Also, comment down below which planets or capital ship you'd like to see explored in the next episode. Let's start with the palace hangar, and typically you can't go past this opening, but we can, so we can go outside it and see what's just on the outside closer up. So there is just this flat land, and we do have these red lights for the starfighters that will come and fly and land into the hangar. On the right hand side we have this river that flows, and on the left hand side we just have these same buildings, just three of them together. You can remember these from the previous LEGO Star Wars games and also Battlefront 2. If we go further out, you'll see how this terrain is not connected to this further out terrain, which goes all the way out to almost the edge of the skybox. We do get this bit here that's separate in the skybox, and there is also some of them that are behind the skybox. Look at that. Several sprites that you can't see. They've just been placed there behind the skybox, but there is also some in front of the skybox, so you can actually see them if you were out in the air. This is where the capital ship is located, the one that you have chosen. But now let's go into Feed itself, because there is so much to explore. There is so much detail. It's one of my favourite locations in the game. It's just a really nice location. If we go in here, the buildings are empty until you actually go inside them. If you wanted to go behind the walls of the hangar, we can see that there is a bit of a gap, like so. I have a few very low poly birds just flying around the map. What's behind this door? Well, there is nothing. It's just another gap between these walls. So what's over this side? Well, there is more detail than you'd think, but it does end pretty suddenly. As you can see, this wall is completely cut off, and these rocks aren't... well, the rock and terrain just have a massive hole in the ground. So do all of these further out. There is just a couple of these buildings that have been placed randomly to give a sense of density if you were to get high up, and they are pretty far out. If we go under the map, we can see there is a triangle in the distance that is part of this rock formation. If we go inside this building, now able to use the free cam and see what it looks like from the outside, and that I was not expecting that. There is this big plate here which has a doorway but goes much further out than you'd expect. It's just pretty cool to see this from a completely different angle. This one is basically the same, except there is a secret staircase. If you do this bit, this quest, you're able to go upstairs. What's down here? Well, through the door, and there is nothing. It's just a black hole. I really do like the river, and we can go into the water and see it's not very deep. It's pretty shallow. As you can see, the thieves aren't even touching the floor, but the rest are, and this bit's a little bit deeper, but it's pretty funny to see it without any water. It does look like it's going through a drought. But this bit goes all the way down here. Spills down there. This is very deep and pretty flat, these sides, aren't they? But yeah, that's the river. So it's pretty deep the other end, but very shallow in this section here. Then we have the bongo transport. This is actually a little bit more deeper as well. Far more deeper this side. We can also see the waterfall here. This bit of terrain just goes all the way down, so does that one. Another waterfall there. Now we're onto the main street, and we can go into buildings that you can't get into because the playable area does cut off. It's just a lot more of these same buildings that you see repeated over and over again. Now here is the palace, and if we go straight into the palace, you'll see that it's pretty empty, right? There is literally nothing in there except for the main structure on the outside. So let's head on over to it and go inside it, and then the interior will just spawn in. I like how so many buildings are not touching the ground outside the playable area. That could be a design decision for why they did that, to give those buildings a little bit more height, just in case. Here we go, inside the palace we go. So a really cool detail you might not have noticed is that these windows do actually have an image of Theed behind them. You can see there is this big image of some buildings from the city right here, just behind these windows. You can't really tell with these, but with the ones further down here you can tell. And it's a really cool effect. It makes you feel like you're actually seeing the city from the outside. Same goes for this one, although these walls do block a lot of the angles, but you can tell It's just a very low resolution, blurry picture, but it works really well for what it's doing, what it's designed to do. Same goes for in the throne room as well. You can see it a little bit, it just wraps all the way around, which is pretty nice to see. Get another look at it, and if we go down below, there are a bunch of bricks that have been laid. Well, technically they're just textures like that, but nevertheless. And this also gives a good look at the makeup of the feed images from behind the windows. I do like that a lot. Oh, de-rendered, but it's pretty cool to see. Go behind the glass. At first glance, you think, oh, it's probably just right up against the glass and window pane, but nope, it's actually a little bit further out. There's a bit of an air gap. And another look at Theed. I think that is the palace. I think that's a picture of the palace, because it's a very big building that resembles the palace. So you're seeing the palace outside when you're inside the palace. These light shafts don't go to anything, it's just an emissive texture. So now we will explore the generator room inside of the Naboo palace, and here is the cutscenes, which we can take a look at, like so. Better look at feed. That is very different to the playable area, isn't it? There we go, look at that. Much bigger hangar than the actual playable area. You can see Annie. We can go further out. Whoa, look at that! It's very different. Darth Maul. There we go. Can move the camera around for this bit. Oh, Darth Maul just... Oh, they just disappear. And now we're into the generator room. And wow, it's big. Okay, so as you can see, there is nothing behind the doorway. So you can't go into the Naboo hangar there. But it's much bigger than you'd think, isn't it? When you go further out, wow, look at that. That is impressive. So we can go up close down here, down to the floor, and see that these generators go all the way down, past the playable area, past the visible area, and they do go much further down. And it's basically a half circle, as you can see. And the generators also do go higher up as well. We've got something here. Oh, it's just like the roof, but it extends past the half circle. Here are some of the platforms you have to get on, and if we go up, we can go this way into the final bit. And look at that, that is a long drop. It's far longer than the Battlefront 2 version, because if you remember back to my video back like 4 years ago, it ends like sort of here. It makes sense given that there is a cutscene and stuff like that. You can actually look down it, whereas Battlefront 2 you're not supposed to see it, but nevertheless, it's just much longer. You will also notice that these laser gates don't go all the way to the top. If you have a high jump, you'd be able to jump over them. Very high jump, but nevertheless. But that is the Better Call Maul level explored, which was a lot of fun to do. We are now visiting Lake Paonga, and as you can see, it's very different. It's a completely different playable area, and it's far bigger than you'd think. But it's also quite circular. It's, yeah, very basic, but these trees do the job. These trees were just photographs. Look, you can tell it's a photograph. So TC Games either went out to the field and took some photos, or they're just using stock photos and cut out the tops of the trees and then just turned it into a big sprite. Maybe they did a panoramic image and stitched a bunch of them together, but who knows? And this rock goes pretty plain when you go behind it, and there we go. We can see that some of the leaves and stuff are falling below the ground. These flying creatures do look a bit weird in this animation, just in this weird idle pose, travelling around. So from the spawning area, we can go up here and see what's behind it, and it ends pretty quickly, to be honest. And then over on the left-hand side, which you're able to climb up to a certain extent, there isn't much else going on. Let's go under the water and see how deep it is. Okay, so there is a bit of a shore here. That's not that deep, but then it ends, so it's just a bottomless pit. But for the most part, yeah, it's not really that deep. We've got a pocket down here, bit of a hole behind a rock, but for the most part, it's pretty shallow. And this has a bit of a tree that sticks all the way down. A few of them, actually. What are they doing? What is going on? Guys, it's supposed to be on your own path. I'm very confused what's going on. Are they still there in the playable area? Yes, they are. Well, that's a very strange glitch. Does shooting do anything? No. Let's go to Gungan's secret place. And we can go through here and have a look. What's going behind this rock formation? Bit of a temple. Look at that. Pretty cool, these temples. I'd imagine they've reused the same ones from Yavin 4. Like some of the smaller ones in the distance, maybe. Let's go into the water. Oh, yeah, very shallow, very shallow. We are now in the Gungan city. Yet another absolutely incredible location that was made for the Phantom Menace. And we can go further and just see how big it is. Wow. Look at that. We've got a close-up of this school of fish right here. But let's go back where it all starts. And we have this bubble wall here. We can go down here and take a look at the seafloor. There is an actual seafloor with some visual effects and bubbles and things like that. Just some sprites. Very cool. We've got loads of fish. And we also have... I think that's a Venator. Yeah, that's a Venator, I'm pretty sure. Just going underneath the map. You can't see that from the playable area, so I don't know what that's about. So that's a close-up of the ship. You can see this, there is scales on them. That is pretty cool. I do like how the fish reflect as well. If we go into the main section, and we can go far down into the depths of the city and see how it's actually much more complex than you'd think. There's loads of pipes and different platforms. Can't really tell because of the contrast from the fog that's there to hide so much of it. Pretty cool to see, and we can go up top. There we go. Oh, there is actually one of the... maybe it is the Venator, maybe it's... I think it's... Yeah, no, it's not the Venator, it's just the speeders that they use on all ships in the sky. It's just like a default model that they use. It's really low poly, no texture on it, and there is a lot of them flying around. I've never noticed the ships flying around the Gungan city, to be honest, before. You can go up here into a pod that you can't usually go onto. There's typically 4 per pod, and we can go down here, behind this wall, and into here. Yeah, this is really cool to see, and I really like this as well. This passageway. So there is a lot more rock than you'd think. It goes all the way out here to the end of the level that was built. It goes down quite a bit there. Now we're just in a endless ocean, pretty much. The rays are really well done, though. It definitely gives the effects that they was going for. It's really good. So seeing as we're in the Gungan city, let's do the mission A Bigger Fish. Here is a nice cutscene where we can see a little bit more of the Gungan city, more detailed version. Whoa, there we go. Look at that. This is a whole new area. Got the fish chasing them. Pretty cool way of seeing that. Look at that. Wow. There we go. We can follow the bongo. Alright, so we're in the level now, and let's use the free cam. Oh dear. Yeah, I think because it's procedural generated, much like the other levels that we've seen that do this, we can't do anything. All we can see is the reticle and parts of the UI. Unfortunately, we can't explore this area. We might not have been able to have done that level, but we can do this one. And this is a level I absolutely loved. It's so good, and it just looks great. I miss Naboo planes, the map from Battlefront 1. And look at that, we can see it's a very different location, lots of trees and such. We have the AATs and the MTTs over the hill. Crunch time. Okay, so we can go outside of the shield and we can go close to the AATs and MTTs. But we can also go even further out. All this way we can go through some trees and along the plains, the fantastic meadows and valleys, and go all the way to the end and up to the skybox. There is this sprite that travels all the way around the map. But here is where we have some woods. This cool forest just here. With some trees that go underneath the map. Like, that one is completely underneath the map. Okay. Same goes here. As you do. Some staps flying in. I didn't realise staps could go on their own. I thought they had to have a pilot. And now for the next part, where the MTTs deploy the battle droids, and the Gungans deploy the shields. Wow, look at that! We can get a close-up look at all of these battle droids and how far low poly and texture they are. They're running at a much lower frame rate, because if those were all running at 60 frames per second, there's literally hundreds and hundreds of these battle droids. I don't think the game would run very well whatsoever. I mean, it makes a lot of sense that they're running at a low frame rate. You gotta make sure you can eke everything out to maintain this game's 60 frames per second performance on things like the console. Oh, we have the landing crafts, which we can go up to. This one's moving a bit slower, so it's made up of just a lot of Lego bricks, these are. And we can see there are more MTTs, which are more low poly than the previous ones, but yeah, look at that. So many battle droids. Look at all those pieces as well. It's really cool how they individually do come apart, despite there being so many of them. And it's just havoc. It's just absolute havoc, isn't it? Boom. Look at all those Lego bricks. Whoa, that is a cool effect. And then we have the ending cutscene, which sees most of the Gungans completely gone, along with all the battle droids. It's just the few that are in frame, of course. It's pretty bare bones, that is. And that is Naboo Explored. The game just crashed because it was the end of the cutscene and I was still in free cam mode, but that is all of the locations explored. This has been a massive episode, so thank you very much for watching. And let me know down in the comment section below which was your favourite part of this exploration episode. Drop a like to help keep the series going, and comment down below which planet or capital ship you'd like to see in the next episode. And if you missed any of the previous episodes in this series, do click on the playlist on screen right now, and I shall see you in my next LEGO Star Wars video. Goodbye.